David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today, I have a pen for you from a brand that I've only been familiar with for the last couple of years, but in that time, I have reviewed a few of their pens, and each one has significantly impressed me. That company would be Kilk, and the model I'll be showing you today is one which I believe is exclusively available through Galen Leather, called Celestial Blue and Black. What I am going to do today is go over the parts and features of this intriguing pen, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to the good folks at Galen Leather for providing the pen you will see today for review. Kilk, as well as Galen Leather, are based out of Istanbul, Turkey. I have been very impressed over the last couple of years with the quality of products being produced in Turkey. Besides Galen and Kilk, there was also Studio Agacan, as well as NFP Design. A lot of great stuff coming out of the region. The pen arrives in this box. The sleeve slides off, easier than I just made it. And then underneath here, we have a box with a magnetic lid. Inside, we have a couple of things that are falling all over the place. There is a use and care guide, as well as some warranty information. And then we have a polishing cloth. This kind of cloth is nice to have because the pen contains sterling silver, and this is a specially treated jewelry cloth. These are really useful to have. For a moment, I thought there was an error here in the spelling. They spelled jewelry with two L's, but I looked it up and that's how it's spelled in British English. I'm familiar with the common differences in spelling between British and American English, but that one was a new one to me. And then we have the pen. This is the Kilk Celestial, and more specifically, the blue and black. The pen is made from a special chatoyant royal pearl acrylic. It's a mix of deep blues and browns and reds and blacks. There are many times when this crushed resin technique really doesn't do it for me, but I like this mix of colors. The technique of how this resin is made is kind of like twice-baked potatoes. You start with some different colored resin and smash it into tiny bits, and then you mix it all together and add some additional resin to fuse it all back together. Let's take a look at the top of the cap. The traditional pattern on the raised sterling silver finial is called kardifillik, which translates from Turkish as Wheel of Fortune. It's a common element in Turkish design and also the name of the Turkish version of the American game show. Then we have a rather wide cap band. I really like the design of this clip. It's sterling silver. It has the 925K stamp on the underside of the clip. I really like the curved and stacked stair-step design. And then on the end, it comes to a bit of a teardrop, or it also reminded me of a peacock feather as well. The cap angles up, and at the end, there is no traditional cap band, but there are two engraved grooves. The end of the cap tapers down slightly, and then there is a small step down to the barrel, which begins with this very cool design element. This 12-corner pattern on a sterling silver band is called a dodecagon and is referring to the complex but perfect order of astrological bodies. The dodecagon is a common feature in Turkish rugs and tiles as well. The barrel is straight for about an inch and then tapers down until you reach a black end piece, and the very end is ever so slightly rounded. The cap twists off with 1.5 rotations, and underneath we have a Bach No. 6 stainless steel nib. Bach calls this nib their 250 nib. It is engraved with the Kilk logo and is available in either extra fine, fine, medium, broad, and double broad, which I actually have here. And here's a look at the plastic feed. The section begins with a slight flare and angles up a very small amount until you reach the cap threads and a small step up to the remainder of the barrel. The section has a nice thickness to it, and I find it very comfortable in the hand. Overall, this pen, as well as all other Kilk pens I have tested, just have a really solid feel to them. It's slightly heavier than you think it would be, and I think the generous use of sterling silver on the band and the clip help in that regard. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international cartridges, and a threaded converter is provided. Now, I've been told the metal used here in this section is a stainless steel with no plating applied, so supposedly you can eyedropper this pen safely if you apply the appropriate amount of silicone grease. The company states this metal will not corrode or interact poorly with ink. There's also a seam at the end of the barrel here, which would typically give me pause in relation to eyedropping a pen. Now, I have not tested whether the company claims are true, but I believe chances are they are. But if you would choose to eyedropper this pen, I would at least do so cautiously at first, but chances are high everything will be fine. The cap does post. It is secure. I thought an abundance of sterling silver in the cap would backweight this pen, but I don't feel it throws off the balance that much. The edge of this cap is a bit sharp, and I'm not fond when it rubs up against the inside of my palm. Well, it's not overly sharp, just crisp enough to let me know it's there. It'd be nice if that was rounded off a little bit more. But personally, I don't find that to be an issue because I prefer to use this pen unposted. The Kilk Celestial Blue and Black is available through the Galen Leather website. I'll put a link to it in the notes below. The original price was $290, but it is currently on sale at a 15% discount, which brings the price down to $247. And I feel that's a reasonable price for what you receive with this pen. It's a decent price point for the valuation, in my opinion. You receive a very solid, well-constructed pen with some unique design elements and striking looks. I really like the finial as well as the band on here. It's just unlike anything else in my collection. On top of that, you'll see in the writing sample, but the double broad nib I have on this pen is really fun to use. If you don't have a Kilk pen in your collection, it's something I highly recommend. They have yet to disappoint me with any of their offerings I have tested out, and look forward to seeing what they come up with in the future. Okay, it is now time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample with that double broad nib. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Kilk Celestial Blue and Black. Or is it black and blue? I can't quite remember. One or the other. You get the idea. You can see here the nice resin that's used on here. I enjoyed that. And then, like I said before, I really love this band. Their pens are just really well made. In regard to some size comparisons of some other Kilk models, here's the first Celestial that I reviewed. You can see this one is slightly larger than the original one. I do love the color combinations on this though. This one here, this yellow model, was called the Orient, and that one's slightly larger than the first Celestial. And then this one here was the Camera Laterna, which was movie themed. And my favorite thing about this is the finial that just spins around, and it spins around for longer than you think it would. It's just really well constructed, and I enjoy using that pen as well. In regard to some other size comparisons, here we have a Sailor Pro Gear, and then we have a Narwhal Nautilus, and then finally we have a Leonardo Momento Zero, and this was with a mango finish on it. In regard to the uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Pro Gear and the Narwhal Nautilus and the Leonardo Momento Zero. Here we go with the writing sample for the Kilk Celestial. And this is the blue and black. I still can't remember exactly what it is. It'll be right in the title. So we'll just say black and blue. But I think it might be the other way around. And as I mentioned, this is a double broad stainless steel nib. And the ink that I'm using, I thought I'd use a nice darker blue ink. And this is Krishna Peacock Blue. This is what the ink looks like. It's a really nice, deep, solid blue with a little bit of vibrance to it. This is what it looks like in comparison to the Robert Oster Bondi blue, which is another one of my favorites. And then here it is with Private Reserve's tropical blue. This is what the bottle looks like. It kind of looks like a peacock feather, and that I have used this ink a lot, and I'm running very low on it. So I'm going to have to pick up another one of these because it's one that I really enjoy using. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. While I wouldn't want all of my nibs to be double broad, I find this one to be very pleasant. It's very smooth. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of this stainless steel nib, but you can get some. The ink flow on this double broad is very nice. It's going to be rather generous. In regard to reverse writing, it's a little scratchy, but it gets the job done in laying down an extra fine line. In regard to some fast writing, the feed has no issue in keeping up. So there you have the Kilk Celestial. It's actually the black and blue. I remembered it now. It's the black and blue. And that, as I mentioned before, Kilk has really made some nice, solid offerings. So if it's not something that if explored for your collection, it's something I'd highly recommend. And as I mentioned, this particular one is available exclusively from Galen Leather. And there'll be a link in the notes below to check it out. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.